But I clicked on this girl's YouTube channel. She had like 300k subs. But then I go to her about section and she runs an OnlyFans. And the business model that she's got is basically she'll tap into the ASMR community on YouTube, and she uses that as basically I am advertising porn, but I'm also not advertising porn, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Where she'll do enough on YouTube to tease people to like just drop some suggestive seeds in their brain to make them want to go and look out for that content elsewhere. But she's not saying, go and check out my OnlyFans.
Yeah. It's all... Especially the lip smack stuff to me is like, that is so...
That's just disgusting.
Borderline. Yeah. There was one where this lady, and this is why it's like fetish content, is like, she was like, alright, time to... Whispering into the mic, like, time to... this one's called, like, eating, and I was like, I don't want to listen to you eat. And she was like, my pet possum, because she was Australian, she's like, yeah, listen to our pet possum eat, and it literally was the possum, but her feet were in the background, and it's like, why are your fucking grippers there? Get your feet out of the... Why are your feet there? This is so fucking weird. Your feet don't need to be there.
I actually watch a lot more male ASMR YouTube channels nowadays, because like there's one dude on here who I just... Well, two actually that I watch a lot, who I fucking love. There's Massage ASMR, who he's an actual masseuse, and he will video his massages. And even just watching a massage be given, it's just like, oh yeah, because it almost simulates the same like feeling on me. And I don't know if there's a scientific explanation for that, but it's just like, oh, this is amazing. And then there's another guy who I respect because he is like so fucking creative with his stuff. Like he's called Ephemeral Rift, and he does some bizarre and out there stuff. He's created this whole like universe and fictional storytelling within his videos. It's hard to properly do it justice, but like he has a series called Arkham Sanitarium, and it's basically just a bunch of insane people in an asylum that are doing ASMR on YouTube, which is it's fantastic. He does not take it seriously at all, which I absolutely love. Yeah, and he just uses it as a vehicle to fuel his own creativity and writing capabilities, and then like puts it around an ASMR banner.
I don't know. It's weird, right? Because I had that. It was something weird. Like someone reacted to something I bought on Steam.
I thought you were going to say your ASMR video.
No. Oh, God, I couldn't. There was one that my friend linked me. It was a girl, like, just scratching down the microphone and blowing into it, so it sounded like wind. It sounded like you're just, like, in heavy rain. Mm-hmm. And it was 3 hours of it, and I was like, surely this is cut up. No, she sat there for 3 hours just scratching down a microphone slowly and blowing into it. I was like, you would have had like YouTube or TV shows going in the background. Set of headphones on, watching fucking Friends or something, because there's no way you could sit there for 3 hours scratching down on a mic and blowing into it.
Respect to them, like, I wouldn't be able to, but I'm sure like the fact that someone's actually gone out their way to do it. Someone's gone out their way to do it and say, hey, you're a lot more patient than I am.
It's like, I appreciate the grind, but do you not get bored after like 20 minutes of it?
It's one of those other things as well. It must be so awkward doing it because you're just staring at a camera as well.
Yeah.
Scratching into a microphone. Like, even I'm looking at my webcam right now, and I'm just thinking, right, what if I just stared at that for 3 hours and I've got my microphone here and I'm just scratching away at it?
I don't get it. It's also very weird that it's always like alt girls in their mid-20s. It's not a bad thing. It's just like, that's what also triggers fetish content to me, is just like, you see that and you're like, very particular, beautiful looking women. It's like, it's really hard to argue this doesn't lead towards fetish, but also...
Oh, well, some of it's quite bad. I think there was, I can't remember the details, but I'm sure there was an ASMR YouTuber that recently found like deep fake AI porn videos of her online.
Yeah, the fuck thing about that is people on the internet will do that to everyone. Like, even Jaden Animations has that. She had to come out and be like, stop, this is fucking weird. And then the people making it were like, what's weird about it? We're fans. It's like, bruh, if you need to be
Nah.
told what's weird about that, there is something
That's the problem.
incredibly wrong with you.
It's in fairness, I remember like 10 years ago, I got pushed a video from either Markiplier or Jacksepticeye, and their fans are fucking weird sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
particularly that generation, because what was happening was that they were writing fan fiction about the two of them, like, in bed together and fucking. It's like, that's not you being a fan. That's weird. That is so strange. That's not normal, because like it's real people at the end of the day as well. That's important. It's real people. It's not fictional. It's not fictional characters. These are real people with real lives, and you're putting this really oddly sexualized content out of them out into the public.
The thing is, sometimes it usually starts as a joke, where perhaps like you may have a bunch of people that are collabing together, and you'll have people in the like the Twitch comment, Twitch chat will make the joke of, we should ship you two, and it's like, aha, funny, and then you have someone that actually goes and does that. Because there's a difference between making a joke about doing that and then actually doing that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't think a lot of people can see the line between those two.
Definitely. I think it's like that kind of first line of normalization, isn't it? Where people, normal people like me and like us three. Well, I say normal people, I don't think we're particularly normal. I don't think there's no such thing as a normal person. But regular everyday Joes, I guess is a better way of describing it, would look at something like that and say, right, there is a clear line that you draw in the sand for that.
Emotionally healthy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose.
Stable.
Even I agree with that less so. However we are, we can at least distinguish a line in the sand that can be drawn when it comes to that sort of stuff. But I think people can just take things way too far. On that note, are we all ready for a clap?
Give me a second. I've also started up a coughing fit, which is not good.
Oh, fantastic.
There is a simple solution for this. That is to open up that too, but
we're not sponsored. I'm sure you've ended up having.
I will take a Hull sponsorship or Ricola.
Like what? It's been the last 4 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, and my guess is that I think it's my heater probably needs to be cleaned out. Heating thing.
I have quite an old house. It's like maybe 300 years old. The damp is quite bad. And I got really bad coughing fits, and I couldn't quite gather why. But there was, I think we got a building surveyor because they were coming in, they were like needing to replace the roof. And he came in and he said, this room is very damp. Have you invested in like dehumidifiers? I'm like, oh, no, okay. So I got a bunch of dehumidifiers, and they massively helped.
Yeah, in this case, I think, like I said, the unit that provides the heat and probably also the AC as well, I do think it needs to be cleaned out, and because I think right now, unfortunately, I'm getting probably, particles and things I would rather not breathe in. Yeah. That being said, it massively helps when I do at least crack open my my patio door.
Oh yeah, that's much better because you're getting actually fresh air in.
Yeah, fresh air. It's also cold, so I don't even need to have the fan on.
Yeah, you get fresh air, freedom, and any shooters coming in.
Let's hope not. I have nothing of value.
It's the States. You never know what might happen.
To be fair, it was very funny to me that when we got home to the hotel on the second day, I looked at my phone, it was like, active shooting in this part of Seattle, and it was like literally a 10-minute walk from where we were. It was like, okay, America, how about you chill the fuck out for the next 3 days before we leave?
Well, do you not remember on the last day that we were there, what was it? We thought we heard gunshots when we were walking back from the Space Needle to our hotel.
Yeah, I think that's what day I was talking about.
Oh, that wasn't the second day, was it? I'm sure that was the last day.
No, it was the third or fourth.
All right.
It was a big mix to me. It's weird because I was like, I'm going on holiday, and then literally the Monday or Tuesday at work the next week was like, I am back, and they're like, where'd you go? I went to America for 4 days. I left on Thursday, and I'm back on Tuesday. It's like, why didn't you go for longer? It's like, because I am poor. I work for the same company y'all do. We get paid around the same. You should know this.
I wish I could have gone for longer because it was just because of work. I couldn't go longer.
Yeah.
I had a nice little patch where, since I'm freelance, I had a booking in on the Tuesday evening. Then I had nothing for maybe, I think, 4 or 5 days. So I thought, right, this'll work. Flew out on the Wednesday morning and then came back Sunday afternoon. And then was back in for some more bookings for Monday.
Yeah, see, that's where you screwed up, because I deliberately took Monday off. Even though to be fair, I rocked up on Monday morning at like 6 a.m. But yeah, originally I was like, I'm going to come in for Monday. And my boss was like, you're getting it on Monday morning at 6 a.m. And I was like, yep. He's like, don't come in on Monday. That would be such a bad idea.
Well, see, I managed fine. But then again, my booking wasn't until like 4 p.m. on the Monday. So I was still pretty okay. It wasn't like an early start or something. The jet lag wasn't too bad because I intentionally just didn't sleep on the train. So I was grouchy and grumpy on Sunday because I practically been awake for 24 hours. But then when I hit the bed on the Sunday evening, it's like, oh, yes.
Yeah. It's like the flight back for me. The flight there was fine. I laid down. I slept across 3 chairs in the middle of this plane. On the way back, they got this little rinky-dink fucking dodgy-ass smaller plane, and it was packed with Americans coming to Australia.
Is a rinky-dink a real thing?
Well, I think it's just a term for, like, dodgy. For, like, falling apart.
I love that. Rinky-dink. What a word that is.
Old-fashioned, amateurish, or shoddy, according to Google.
That's going to be my word of the month next month. I'm going to try, starting from January 1st, I'm going to try and have any opportunity I can to use the word rinky-dink I'm going to take.
You should just go to Google, type in, like, Australian phrases, and then just start. Because I think it's rinky-dink's American. Look up Australian phrases and just start saying random Australian shit in the middle of England.
Oh, yeah. Like, especially on New Year's Day, because I'll be out with, like, some friends of mine that maybe some of them I'll have seen, like, recently, but the others, there'll be people I've not seen for, like, a year. And if I just start laying down, like, rinky-dinks on them, they'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Hit them with some, chucking a sickies.
Oh, no, we use sickies here. Chucking sickies.
Yeah.
That's not too abnormal.
Spitting the dummy. Having a yarn.
Oh, no, we have that as well. Yeah. Oh, wait, what was that one?
Having a squiz.
Oh, no, what's that mean? Never heard of that.
Squiz just means to have a look. You're like, I'll go have a squiz.
Oh, like a squint. A squint.
Yeah, I don't know what... I think its origins might be a squint, but it's squiz.
Weird. Having a squiz.
For anything that looks bad and out of order, looks like a dog's breakfast.
Yeah. There's a lot of overlap here. There is a lot of these things we do use.
Well, to be fair, I think it's because a lot of Australians, especially younger ones, go to the UK, especially England. I don't know why, but Australians in their teens go to Bali, or in their early 20s go to Bali, and then in their late 20s and 30s go to England. It's like, why? Why do we just... I guess we're going to go back to the motherland for a little while. Get back with our roots, and then fuck off again.
It's because we're just better. What can I say?
Yeah, right.
3, 2, 1. Nice. Okay, that was pretty much in sync. Oh, what? That's a weird bar. It's kind of like a perfect spike, and then it kind of like dips up, then raises again, then droops back down. Almost like a heartbeat monitor. Weird.
Interesting.
I stung my hands that time.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard you clap.
Bless. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Steam Sentinels podcast, episode 11, Moral Outrage. I'm your host, Mellow Online, and I am joined by SirViolentDeath. How are we today, SirViolentDeath?
We're doing okay. It's another fine, chilly evening in December.
What's the temperature over there at the moment?
Let's see.
It's 4 degrees here.
47. 47 degrees freedom units. That's what the F stands
47
for.
Is 8
47
degrees Celsius for
Okay.
normal people.
So you're twice as warm as I am at the minute.
Ooh, you gonna take
That
that?
much? What?
Talking, I don't know.
Yeah, talking smack saying that I've got it worse off.
There's nothing to be offended at.
Batchard's just trying to drum up some drama so that we get more viewership quickly.
Yeah.
Just know that you guys are obviously using the incorrect units.
We're not. We genuinely are not.
We're using
Every
the
time.
one where it's literally a normalized value where 0 is freezing and 100 is boiling in water.
Yeah, what's your freezing value, SVD?
32.
What's your boiling value?
I honestly don't remember.
100 Celsius.
All I remember is 32 is freezing.
212.
That makes no sense.
Oh god, the math formula. It's 100 multiplied by 9 divided by 5 plus 32.
No Americans can pull off that many good math equations, can they? Sorry to Americans, I apologise. I retract my statement. Sorry, I don't want to annoy people, especially in the run up to Christmas. I'm also joined by Ratchet. How are you, Ratchet?
Hello, I'm good. I'm a little tired because my sleeping pattern is entirely out of whack still.
I had a nap before we came on here because
Dude.
What?
I was just gonna say I'm gonna have a nap after this.
Oh no! I got home. I've had a long day. Me and my girlfriend went to a pantomime today. Got back. We'd been like a light showcase event as well. Went and had lunch, dinner. Came back and I was looking at my schedule for tomorrow and I need to be up at like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, oh fuck, right, I'm on doing this until 1 possibly. So I'm thinking I need to get like maybe an hour in now, and then I've at least got something in the bank ready for when I go to bed straight after we do this.
Yeah, that actually sounds good.
Yeah, it was full military strategic planning on my end, just purely based on my sleep schedule. But no. Welcome to the last episode that we're filming before Christmas. We will be back in the new year, but this is the last one that we'll be doing for now. We're going to be off for, I think, 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. And we'll be resuming around mid-January sort of time. For the last episode before Christmas, we have a few topics to go over. We have our usual comment comeback, which is in relation to the discussions we had surrounding AI last week. We also have a discussion surrounding a game called Brown Dust 2 and some misinformation that some people I've noticed, particularly on X, have been circulating around the game's ban from Steam. And we're also going to be talking about review manipulation, specifically review manipulation happening on a specific Steam developer called 05 Games. On Steam. All of this for you on our final special episode before Christmas on the Steam Sentinels podcast. But before we get into all of that, Ratchet, what games have you been playing this week?
That is a good question. I started playing with my friend last night, Jump Space, and it is fantastic, and it's made by 5 people in Unity, which is wild. I've also been playing stuff like, I just bought Ziggurat 2, and I was like, playing it, looking around, being like, this is definitely an in-house engine. It's Unity as well, but it's like 2018 Unity, so it's impressive. It's very impressive. They're both fantastic games. Apart from that, Battlefield 6. I bought a new graphics card and had to install that the other day, so that was the most stressful couple of minutes of my life. Yeah, it's been a big mix. Honestly, we'll be here all bloody night if I talk about all the games I've been playing.
Okay, thank you. SVD, what have you been playing?
I've had a bit of a nostalgia kick and started playing some of the original Xbox games on an emulator.
Which ones?
I mean, I
saw the one you were playing before.
So like Mech Assault 1 and 2. It's a shame that they didn't continue the series, because it was a great, like, more streamlined and simplified way of doing what is it? It's part of the whole Robotech franchise, Robotech universe, which I know some people are very big on. It's this whole like mech thing. So I played that. Played Conker's Bad Fur Day.
That's a good game.
Well, let me rephrase that.
The Live and Reloaded.
Conker's Live and Reloaded. Yeah. I
Still
started playing I started playing the campaign. I'm like, I had more of an inkling for the multiplayer part against the bots, which I decided to name the all because you can actually rename the AI bots. So I named them after essentially everyone in our Discord, at least the people who are active.
Like me?
Yes.
Yes.
The funny thing is that so I kind of did it in order of people who like I know are active to like people who I had to like check in our various Discord chats to see if they were. And the funny thing about that is that so the multiplayer like aspect that you could play with the AI bots, but was also part of the whole Xbox Live thing was it was this whole thing of teddies versus squirrels, which is also in the campaign. But like in the very first mission, the teddies are are defending the weasel character from the campaign, who's essentially playing Hitler essentially. And for whatever reason, it assigns like I've got you and like I've got you guys are like the first two I renamed. You guys are always on the Teddy side. I'm sorry, it made you Nazis.
Oh well, that's a shame.
But the multiplayer stuff is fun. There's like little story beats with each and every mission. There's a little briefing you can listen to, and there's like various classes that you can switch between. And I love the fact that essentially each and every class and character, as like depending on what action you're doing, will swear, but it'll bleep it out, which is hilarious to me.
Wasn't the bleeping out, was that wasn't in the N64 version, was it? Was that new to the Xbox version?
I think it might have been new to the Xbox version. I think the multiplayer portion was definitely new to the Xbox stuff because I don't think they had that for N64. Because it was like an actual part of the Xbox Live thing.
Yeah, was online? No, online wasn't a thing for N64 at all, was it? That didn't come along till PS2, Xbox. Well, it wasn't a thing with the. You might know this, Ratchet. It wasn't a thing with the 64DD extension that they tried to launch, was it? To add like online play into the N64.
I don't think the N64 ever had online play. I could be wrong though.
But so there's that. So Conquer, Mech Assault 1 and 2. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. Which I have a lot of fond memories of, and it was kind of nice that, it's just unlocking stuff with gameplay as you go. And there's no need to worry about, like, DLC stuff being shoved in your face, really with any of these games, which was kind of nice. The fact that, the game you got was the game you got. That being said, a lot of the stuff is basic, but it's still, like, some of the stuff I do think kind of holds up a little bit today. Graphics may be dated, and some of the gameplay stuff may be basic, but, yeah. So, I've been having fun with that. And I'm trying to see what else I've played recently here. Looking at Steam. Modded Skyrim. And yeah, I'd say that's about it.
Neat. Cool. I've not been playing too much this week. The main game I've been playing is still Pokemon Emerald. I've still had a bit of a buzz for that game since I played it on stream a few weeks ago. SVD, I've had to retire your Pokemon to someone's PC. Unfortunately, it just was not. It wasn't dragging. It wasn't picking up its feet. It wasn't pulling its weight at all. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to retire SVD. And Ratchet's my highest level Pokemon at the moment, along with Dandruffs as well. Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I think I got.
That's fine. Just catch a Numel and name it after me.
Well, yeah, you were what's it? A Puccina. That's what I named it. Yeah, and then the Puccina was just like, oh, you can growl, you can tackle. And that's about it. But yeah, I've been meaning to play more No I'm Not a Human because they've had an update just come out recently, which adds like a bunch of new stuff into the game. but I've not had a chance to. I was thinking yesterday when I had a bit more free time and work slowly starting to wind down a little bit more for Christmas. I'm thinking, I've got some time to play some games. I might play Pokemon Emerald, then I'll go, no, I'm not a human. And I had this whole plan of like, okay, maybe I can play this, then this, then this, then this. And then I ended up just playing Pokemon Emerald for like 5-6 hours. So, still made no progress in No, I'm Not a Human. But no, let's now get into the meat of our episode. So, we are going to start off with our comment comeback. So, this is a comment from a Steam user by the name of Vahid Slayer of All. I think they might have featured on previous comment comeback. I'm not 100% sure, so it might be our first repeat user that we've responded to. Vahid Slayer of All commented on our Steam announcement announcing last week's podcast. Not last week's too. Well, no, it was last week's podcast by the time this went up. Last week's podcast. They said, quote, AI gives a person with money the power to do something that takes skill, has been abused to the max in every way that you can think of. Do we agree?
I would agree. Because the whole thing with AI is that it's whatever you put into it, and you can literally just put stuff that you've ripped from the internet without people's permission in there to then train it. Which is why you've had like a lot of issues, especially with like AI voice stuff. Because the whole thing is that you've got like, especially you've got like voice actors that there's a whole industry based off of that, who provide voice acting for video games and as well as like anime. To then try to replace them with AI, it puts them out of a job. Plus, the AI, even no matter how you train it, right? The voice actor is in control when they do voices, and how they do like intonation and emotions and all kinds of stuff. Where an AI will only do it what you tell it to. So there's no creativity there. And so when someone like someone can essentially make an AI like an engine, whatever it's essentially called, and feed it all kinds of crap, and then output various things to then make money off of it. And only if essentially they get caught using something that's very blatant or very obvious, it's hard to tell sometimes. Which is why, like, I really do feel like the thing that should be going after is the input source. I don't know how legality and law works, especially with copyright, but I feel like there should be a focus on the inputs for an AI engine and that being subject to copyright, as well as like being able to subpoena, like ask for records, kind of verify that the stuff that's being used in the AI like engine is stuff that has people's permissions or is whatchamacallit, it's like public works or whatever, where it's like copyright free.
Yeah. I had it and it's just totally escaped me. Not royalty free.
Oh.
I don't think it's royalty free, is it? It's it's in the public domain.
Yeah, public domain. Thank you. Yeah, like that being a thing, but because the thing is, someone on Steam can upload a game that's entirely made out of AI voices and assets, and no one knows like if those AI voices and assets were created using people who consented to that or not.
Yeah, like with the comment itself, I mostly agree with it. There was one point of it that kind of made my ears twig. Well, not my ears because I'm not listening to the comment. My eyes twig a bit when they particularly put a highlight on it gives people a person with money the power to do something that takes skill. I don't necessarily think that it's a money aspect. I get what they're trying to say in terms of I think people that can afford it will buy voice actors and they will go through that route. I don't necessarily think that because you've got money you'll go through AI, because AI has become so free and accessible, particularly with ChatGPT. Well, I say Grok I think is now paywalled, or there's limitations to it on X now. But I think that there's a concern with how it's not necessarily in terms of its paywalling or how much it costs. I think more the problem is more it's become too accessible and it's become too freely available to people that it allows them to skip so many parts of a creative process. and it hampers. I think from what I've experienced, it hampers more things than it does. There was a news story that was coming out recently. I didn't get all the details because obviously we weren't going to discuss it here. But there was recently a game that released on Steam that was 100% made entirely through AI. It was coded in AI. The assets were all generated in AI. The marketing was done in AI. The store page description was done in AI. And surprisingly, the game's done quite well, and it's received pretty good reviews. The only caveat is, from what I've read, the game itself, while it was touted as being 100% made by AI, that wasn't quite true, because the developer found that when you give an AI when you get an AI to generate massive and long streams of code, it will just break because it can only cope with so much at one given time. So there was a human review element of the coding aspects. But the game has come out to surprisingly good reviews and not amazing numbers, but I think decent player rates as well. I think it peaked at 300, 400 or so players in the first 24 hours it was released, and I think it's got mostly positive reviews on Steam. Which I think is quite interesting to take note of, particularly with regards to this comment. Ratchet, what are your takes?
I don't like generative AI, and I don't like AI that, it depends on how you use it, essentially, but what I think is the case is, if you use it to help you program things that you don't understand, but you're using it in a way that helps you learn those things, then it's good. But if you just use it to write the code for you and you're not learning anything and you can't come back and write that code yourself without hitting up ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using, then you kind of have missed the point of what I think the people who designed, the original people who were writing these systems, designed it for. I think AI for voice acting and AI for generating textures and stuff is lazy. There's a ton of textures online that it's also pulling from that you can pull from. Textures.com is free for a certain amount of textures. It's hard to argue for generative AI, whereas an SVD was calling them engines, but large language models I can kind of argue for. The only thing I disagree with this person's comment on is it gives a person with money the power to do something that takes skill. You don't even need money anymore. They're giving it away.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But yeah, it is 100% being abused to the max, and it's ridiculous. And the fact that they're building massive data centers for all of this bullshit. Like Sora. We don't need Sora. We don't need fake videos. What we need is a text tool that you can type into that uses low CPU and GPU and memory output. That way we're not destroying the environment.
What do you have against Will Smith eating spaghetti videos, Ratchet? What's wrong with them?
The fact that they're contributing to destroying our already incredibly delicate ecosystem. I use ChatGPT to help me learn programming concepts and stuff I don't know, and because it basically takes the entire internet. But the thing is, I would happily, if somebody said to me oh yeah, the text part of it is what's destroying the environment the most, I'd happily just delete it tomorrow. I'd be yeah, get rid of my account. But I think it's the fucking videos of the people who are doing all those videos of chiropractors that's the worst part. It's just the fact that it's all these videos and it's alright, well, Meta/Facebook have bought a massive amount of land in some just random ass middle of nowhere town, and they're now destroying the environment, and people are getting sick from the shit that there's a bunch of stuff happening. The trucks that are coming in are causing car crashes and shit like that because the truck drivers don't care. It's bruh, at this point I would just call it. Turn that land into a park. The one thing I've got to give Tim Sweeney, which is kind of out of nowhere, is that he bought a shit ton of land in the area where Epic's what's it called, Zar? Where Epic's offices are, and just kept it as native wildland. He's not turning it into anything. That is just land for animals. It's like, can we just have more rich CEOs doing that and less rich CEOs building gigantic city-sized data centers in the middle of country towns where people have literally moved out of major cities to these country towns just to chill, and now you're just bringing the country to them?
It's funny you mentioned Tim Sweeney, because I was just thinking there I was going to bring him up, because when you were talking there, it made me think back to last week's episode where Tim was obviously making those comments about the AI content disclosure on Steam. And I was just reading that. So obviously that user's in our group, they're in Sentinels, and I was looking through a few comments to see what other wider AI discussions are happening on the group, what's kind of the group's position. It does seem mostly negative. Most people do seem very... they have a strong disliking to AI. I think obviously with us, I think we all, at the very minimum, dislike some parts and like some others, but I think we think there's an appropriate way to use it and there's an inappropriate way to use it. But then I was also thinking back, Ratchet, to some of the conversations you've been having in our Discord server in particular, where you've been calling out some AAA games or higher, maybe not quite AAA, but AA budget games that have been using AI, but they've not been disclaiming disclosing that in the AI content disclosure. So I was even thinking, in terms of the disclaimer itself, clearly people like this user here would value the disclaimer staying in place, but then as well, in terms of the enforcement of putting something like that in the disclaimer, is it almost still something negative that there's something like that in place, but it's not being enforced, in terms of basically not everybody's doing the due diligence and not everyone's doing the checks necessary to include what they need to in there?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's funny that you mention, you said AA, but the biggest one here is, and I've got to call them out for it because they literally implemented it on their platform. Valve, who one of the developers admitted he used ChatGPT to help him with doing a matchmaking algorithm, which is like perfectly fine. That makes sense. That's what it's for in my head, is like, I have an idea, everyone else is busy, I'm going to workshop this with ChatGPT, but I need to... Because, like, if you have the experience there, you can be like, I understand that it's going to hallucinate, and I need to know... I need to have enough experience writing code and understanding these systems to know that I can call out the bullshit when it writes bullshit. Which is, like, the experience I have is just, like, it'll write some just absolute nonsense code. I'm like, well, number one, I don't want you to write code. I want you to discuss concepts with me. So I get the concept from you, and then I break it down in my head into the code, and then I'll write it myself. I don't want you to write code for me. That's just lazy. But yeah, Valve for not including it in Deadlock. But yeah, on the other side of it, I saw a Twitter thread about... Not even thread... Just like one of those polls. There was a YouTuber that asked his audience, like, do you care about AI in games? And it was like, there's something like 40,000 votes on it, and it was like 80% don't care. So, like, I think I wouldn't say it's part of the problem, because it's not up to players to care. It would be completely against everything I've said so far to be like, players should care about what happens in development. It's like, players don't care about that. Players don't care that it takes you 4 years to make a game. Like, who's the dude who wrote Judas?
I think, sorry, just to
Yeah.
jump in specifically about that X thread, I think the problem with doing a poll on X about AI is that platform directly hosts their own AI server. So I think the sheer fact that someone is still on there is still, even if not direct, an indirect form of advocacy for the use of AI anyway.
I don't know, because I don't like Grok. I think Grok is...
Oh, it's shit. It's shit. It's absolutely fucking shit.
A right-wing... Not to get political, but it says a lot of things that are like you ask it some like questions and it will deliberately give you the most extreme version of an answer, and it's like, yeah, that's yeah, okay. But yeah, this was a YouTuber with a shit ton of like viewers, so it was his audience reacting. I think he put it up on YouTube, which is probably how it got that many votes. But like I was saying, like I remember his name, Ken Levine said it takes me 5 years to make a game, and it takes a player like 8 hours to finish it. Players don't fucking care, but from a development point of view, and also from thinking about it from a relatively like, I don't want to be in 40-degree days for the rest of my life because a couple of rich assholes are now making millions of dollars off AI. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. And I don't remember what your original question was.
It was about if Steam has this AI content disclaimer, is it a negative? Is it just totally pointless if it's not being enforced that developers need to fill that in? If there's examples like you mentioned with Valve themselves not filling the AI content disclosure in.
Yep. TLDR, because I've talked for a while now. Yeah, I think it should be forced filled in. And the funny thing is, the only way for Valve to do that is for them to use a form of AI or some old school, if we're going back like 5-10 years, it's not even old school, some like image detection software that runs on like Python or something, and then just checks. It's like, hey, this looks like it's AI, so we're just gonna flag it and send you a message and be like, yo, prove to us it's not AI. But yeah, the it's weird that people just dodge that warning, because even like was it Expedition 33, Claire Obscura had AI in their development. I don't know where it had it. I don't think it was for Generation. I think it was helping with story writing or something.
No, it was like it was for Generation, but it was for placeholder assets, and some of those placeholder assets accidentally got included in the final release.
That's right. It was the textures around the poll, the
like the newspapers.
Yeah. So like with stuff like that, it's like, yeah, I mean, you should technically have to acknowledge it, but they're not going to acknowledge it because it's a negative. What's it called? It's like it's a negative for them to even acknowledge that they had to use AI for stuff.
Yeah, but like what frustrates me, like particularly when Tim Sweeney was up last week saying it shouldn't, the disclosure needs to go. It shouldn't matter if AI is being used in products, but the fact of the matter is, if, like you say, if the transparency issue is that they don't want to come forward and say that they are using AI, it's because they know that there is a problem in terms of the consumer perception on that. They know that people do look down on that, and sometimes it can sway a buying decision if you've used AI or not. Which to me kind of also nullifies even the poll that you mentioned. If 80% say they don't care, why are there so many developers that are even hesitant? If they don't care, then there wouldn't be a problem with you disclaiming it, because 80% don't care. But clearly there's a lot more people that do care, and there's a lot of people that would have an influence in their buying decision on that. SVD, do you have any more thoughts about either what we've just mentioned there or the comment? Anything you wanted to pop back in on?
The only thing I have to say is I think we should be pushing for AI assistance, not AI replacement.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of just how we should view AI with in the future.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, happy to move on? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vahid, for your comment. If you would like to have a comment of yours highlighted in our, well, obviously not next week because we'll be off for a couple of weeks, in our next episode of the podcast, feel free to leave a comment down below on our YouTube, or you can also leave comments on our Steam group, in our Discord, on X, on Blue Sky, any social media that we're active, and we might highlight them for a more in-depth discussion in the next episode. Moving on to what is one of our two major topics of today, though. There has been a lot of social media controversy about a game called Brown Dust 2. So Brown Dust 2 is a popular mobile game. It was set for a PC port release. It was planned to go release on Steam. It had over 200,000 wish lists, so it's not exactly a small... a little fish in the big pond. It was garnering, for lack of a better word, a lot of steam. But what happened was on social media, particularly, I at least saw the development team post these on X. But the development team were making these posts saying that if users wishlisted the game, because obviously remember, when a game hasn't been released, they need to have a store page for a certain amount of time. The game had its store page up, and sometimes the wish lists and just its general performance in terms of store page visits can help the game boost naturally in the algorithm. So what the developers did was they offered to do a wallet. It was either a Google Play gift card giveaway or a Steam gift card giveaway. I can't remember which one, but a gift card giveaway was hosted on social media where users had to wishlist the game and send proof to the developers. Needless to say, this actually violated Steam Terms of Service because it was artificially manipulating store page statistics, because people would be wishlisting the game not to necessarily show a genuine interest in the game or a genuine interest in buying it, but they might just be wishlisting it in the hopes that they win money. Basically, it was money. But basically, Valve removed the store page because, you know, it violated the rules. But to kind of critique Valve, because Steam don't put out those notices anymore. Back about 8 years ago, they used to write blog posts and say, we've identified unacceptable behaviour from this developer. They have done review manipulation. They've done artificial manipulation of Steam statistics. They have been creating false accounts and been uploading marketplace items and gaming the system. They don't do that anymore, so Valve just quietly delisted the game. What then happened is the narrative shifted on social media, and it then moved back to allegations that Collective Shout might have been behind the game's removal. There was allegations that because the game includes in its marketing a lot scantily clad anime girls, it's like, oh, it's Steam attacking the anime games again. But I mean, I'll just say it now, that is bullshit. Steam don't just blindly go after those games. There's loads of games on Steam that are like that and have not been removed. The reason that this game was removed, and I can say it with full confidence, was because of the developers gaming the system and attempting to artificially manipulate these statistics. There was loads of people on X that were chiming in. A lot of people that are very touchy about any games getting, censored, which I saw a lot of this, and I was very, very concerned because there was a response on one of the threads that caught my eye it was someone arguing basically the same thing as me. It's like, hey, look, they've been making some posts and they've been artificially manipulating wish lists. And another user says, oh, but if you look at the anime censorship, they have a track record of this. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but we have literally a community that's been documenting these instances. We can show you there is a track record of this exact same thing happening as well. But anyway, rant over for now. Let me just keep to the facts. So the developer has released a couple of statements, and I laughed when I read them because they have played this so carefully and so calculatedly. They've allowed this social media discourse to run, and this response doesn't directly address anything. They just keep things vague enough that they're able to play into the hands of the people that are supporting them, and they're planning to release the game on their own website. So they're pulling the wool over people's eyes, in my opinion, with all of this. There's no correction, there's no clarification, there's no transparency. They're just trying to get away with as much as they can while saying as very little as possible. They've released a statement to try and capitalise on the false moral outrage that's been going on with the game. Trying to play into the hands of people that are like, oh, I'm going to buy this game because I think the censorship's going too far, when the rules need to apply to everybody. I'm sorry. It's not even in terms of the game's content. It's just because of the developer's own anti-consumer practices. But I'll open it up to the floor. Do you guys have any thoughts about this topic in particular? What are your thoughts about like what the developer's been doing and what the community's response has been?
So let me get this straight. They were what was it? Doing this whole giveaway stuff to increase, what was it, wish lists?
Yes, wish lists.
Yeah, let me pull up the Steamworks documentation, or the Steamworks thingy.
Yeah, I remember Valve mentioning something in one of their recent talks about how they can figure out like developers' friends versus official or like proper wish lists and stuff like that. So yeah, I think realistically there's rules and guidelines for a reason, and you should keep, well, you have to keep your everything in those guidelines. I think there's another developer recently on Steam I linked that talked about how they were doing a giveaway for something, but it didn't break any rules. It was like, if you leave a positive review, you enter the chance to win like $100 or something like that. And it was
it wasn't even that, because that would be against the rules if they're specifically saying leave a positive review and you can win money.
Leave a rules. My bad.
It wasn't even leave anything. It wasn't even leave a review. At least if we're talking about the same one, the one that I saw that you linked was a developer wanting to encourage their community to be more artistic or create their own content for the game. So they ran a giveaway of, hey, if you submit your own custom content, the top 6 will receive, I think it was gift cards. I think it was still a gift card giveaway, but it wasn't anything to do with gaming the system. It wasn't asking for reviews. It wasn't asking for wishlist. It wasn't asking for follows. It wasn't asking for anything. It was just saying it was that, and that kind of marketing and that kind of language already taps into people that are already invested in your game as well. It's not bringing people in that would ultimately hold no interest in the game in the first place.
Yeah, I've got it right in front of me here. It's Alchemy Factory, and you can make blueprints for the game because it's an automation game. If you make the top 10 outstanding or entertaining blueprints, which are just you can save the layouts of your cities, of your automation factories. Top 10 get $10 Steam cards. They also sold over 50,000 copies since their release, which is wild. Ooh. So from what I'm hearing there, they dropped on the 12th of December as well. People want automation games. Is what I'm getting out of that.
Yeah. It's the problem with what the developers of Brown Dust 2 for me is it's not specifically that they've done a gift card giveaway, because the appropriate way. We've even done gift card giveaways on Steam before as well, so it'd be hypocritical to say gift card giveaways are bad. No, it's what they're asking for in return for that as well, because like you mentioned, that developer's gone about it in the totally correct way, because that's not giving an inaccurate picture to Steam as to how well engaged your store page is or your metrics are. It isn't faking reviews. It isn't faking engagement. It is people that already have the game, are already creating stuff in the game, and it's just a fun little way to engage your already existing community. Whereas with this, it's deception. It is just deception, because the Steam storefront is massive. There's I think there's something like 50 games or something that release daily on Steam now. It's constantly competitive. It's a very, very competitive market. You can't be allowing people to fake their engagement to try and get a head start. That's just wrong. That's very wrong. SVD, did you want to throw anything in?
Oh, I'm currently gleaming through the Steamworks documentation stuff. I may ask Ratchet to maybe see if he might know better in terms of where I can try to find something where it might mention to not use like the methods that this person did, because currently right now I'm not seeing it, which is why if it doesn't actually explicitly state in terms of like wish lists, manipulation stuff in the Steamworks documentation, that may be why this developer thought that they could go through with this. Whereas it's kind of a thing where to Valve, you shouldn't even be, it should not even be a thing that should come to mind when trying to get people to wishlist your game, to offer them something like that is outside of your game, or even something that's in your game as a as a reward for wishlisting it. Because they do mention like best practices, but it doesn't actually mention anything like don't offer gift cards or whatever. Like there is a thing like early discounts or launch discounts, but that seems to be like about it. And there's also a few marketing practices stuff, but again, it doesn't mention what you can't necessarily do, which is why I'm thinking that this developer thought that they might be able to do this, and probably felt that it was bullshit that Valve denied them, because they're like, well, technically it's not against the rules that you're listing.
See, I personally think you're giving them too much credit, because I think if they did do that and they knew
I
it was
am
wrong,
playing a little bit of a devil's advocate.
Yeah, totally understand that. But the thing is, I think if they knew that and they were totally innocent, they would fess up in their response. They didn't. They created
No, absolutely not. Why admit that what that most likely what they
why
were
admit
told?
fault? Yeah.
Because no, I'm sure Valve told them via email. Listen, you're doing this. This is against our policy, or we don't we don't like that kind of thing, or we consider that manipulation, and so we're not going to launch your title on Steam. And rather than admit that publicly, because no one else but them and Valve will know, and Valve's not going to make a stink about it unless it catches fire on in the media. Um, so they can twist it and say that it's censorship. Valve doesn't need to respond to that unless it gets to like a more national stage, which I doubt this would.
Do you want to know what the developer specifically cited in their response? Which it shows that there was communication from Steam, and if Steam used this language, I wouldn't be too surprised. But at the same time, this seems even vaguer than even Steam's standards are. I know we had a discussion a few weeks ago about Steam didn't really give a reason or much of a reason for horses initially, but this is just, yeah, there's something about this I don't buy. So, PC Gamer, after accumulating more than 200,000 wishlists, an NSFW gacha game cancels its planned Steam release over a, quote, policy requirement problem. It's like, right, a policy requirement problem. That can be anything. Literally anything. It's frustrating to me, because, like, to me, this is so obviously the developer is attempting to deceive the public. They are attempting to twist a narrative that isn't there. Well, I say that. It wasn't even the developer that created the narrative, it was people on social media. And the developer is just allowing that to take place because they think that they can benefit from that quite nicely when they go independent with the game.
Well, the thing is that they also know that one of the most, I guess, trusting the underdog kind of crowd is the censorship crowd. If you claim censorship and your game has NSFW stuff, they'll almost always believe you.
I think it's
100% of the time.
Yeah, because it happens so frequently, and there are genuine instances where there is cause for concern.
Yep.
Like with the collective shout issue with the pressure on Visa and MasterCard. Even maybe not quite as bad as this, but I can see a case where I can see where people might be genuinely upset about how that was managed. But yeah, I think because the issue with censorship does come up quite a bit, it is a genuine problem. And people, I think because it's a very anti-establishment idea of fuck the system that's taking this game down, they then don't give that system the time of day to issue clarification, or they simply just don't buy it because they've been sick of hearing loads of stuff, so they just immediately just zone it out, which I think is also quite a dangerous position to be in. But at the same time as well, I think part of the problem is that just Valve don't issue these public statements anymore. I think that because they've closed up their communication lines and their transparency, it just allows developers like this to twist the narrative. It's the same with the Aftermath developer from a few weeks ago, where there was a decision made about their NSFW, well, questionably NSFW artwork, where it was just a girl in a bikini, and that was it. That was their artwork. I think I've seen a lot worse, but because Steam didn't really have... I remember when it got shared to our Discord, some people just didn't believe it was real because they just didn't see Valve saying anything like that. But because Valve don't communicate and they don't open themselves up for scrutiny anymore as much as they used to, it just allows for these echo chambers to fuel. And if people feel more disconnected and cut off from Steam's rationale, then they're going to go to other places, they're going to go other avenues. It might be partly, admittedly, why we've done quite well in the last few years, because we've been trying to bring attention to problems that Steam aren't necessarily paying much attention to, but then it also works in a counter way where it can fuel quite a dangerous crowd, I think, as well, and it can fuel the wrong people.
Yeah, well, the thing is that Valve don't need to really do anything, right? Because none of this stuff hampers their ability to make money.
No.
And on top of that, the inconsistent nature of the decisions from there adds to the confusion, where there's tons of NSFW games, right? Just where in the screenshots and the trailers, it's full on display, and then you have a game in which it shows a woman in like a bikini, just with her ass facing the camera, but like not up close or anything. It's so much, it's less like what is it?
Explicit.
Explicit. Thank you. That is the word. It's less explicit than a lot of the other games out there, and yet this one was denied. And it was also in the I guess the attitude in the writing that just because there's a lot of games on there doesn't mean that we have to accept yours or something along those lines. In which it was not the first game that this happened to. There was a few games years ago. There was like at least two other developers that seemed to have gotten more or less the same kind of response, which makes me think it's most likely by the same member of the Steam team. I won't mention their name. I don't know their full name, but I won't mention their first name. It does seem to be, well, I won't even say that either. But I will say that it feels like a very more personal like response, or more subjective opinion than it is to try to be objective. Which is like, I feel like, even if you don't like, let's say, the content of a game that someone's submitting to Steam, as long as it doesn't break any rules, I don't think you should then turn it away. If you have a game that's excessively gory and violent, and there's all kinds of really, like, it's very detailed in like body organs and all kinds of crap, you may not like it, but if it doesn't break any Steam rules, then you can't be like, no, I don't want to. Which is why, like, that's why you do have like the legitimate cases that do pop up, and where there is a censorship that's being had, but it seems to be at least by an individual of the team. It's not Valve in and of themselves, but as you said, because they don't really speak much, everyone just takes it as that individual's opinion as Valve's opinion as a whole. That is, I guess, a problem that they need to kind of, I don't have to, but would be nice if they would eventually work out.
I personally think they have to. I think they do have to sort this out, because
they don't have to, because they'll keep making money. That's what I'm saying in terms of have to or not have to. Them not making, them not clarifying it is not going to stop them from making the profit that they're already making now. That's what I mean by have to or not have to.
I was going to say the problem is it's not wholly exclusively a financial decision, and I'm not even talking about coming at it from a me perspective. From a Valve perspective, they will care more than just, is this making money? Which probably makes me sound like a full AAA corporate shill, but it's true. They will look at the social aspect of it. If their continuous failure to communicate change to communicate removals effectively leads to social pressure from groups on the internet, from developer parties. If developers are able to target that discontent to other hopeful developers, make them fearful that their games could be targeted, then they've got a problem on their hands, and that will lead to a financial problem as well. So it's better
only
that
if
they nip
it
this in
gets
the
to
bud
that
now.
point.
But why not solve it now, so then it doesn't ever lead to that position? Because really, I think it's a net positive that they would do that. They don't lose anything in terms of making a statement when a game gets removed. That's added transparency for Steam. It allows for developers that might be doing this for negative intentions. It stops them from being able to fully control a narrative. It allows for users to be able to scrutinize Valve's stances some more. It allows for transparency. It allows for clarity. It's just, to me, that is a net positive. There's nothing lost from doing that.
I think Valve, though, the general consensus there seems to be to kind of take the approach of the Greybeard in Skyrim,
Sure.
which is to not engage or interact with people around. Essentially, they're kind of cut off, in a sense, not literally, but they seclude themselves, in terms of the company in and of itself, right? Because I think they are overly cautious of making, I think, any kind of statements, because that may have a negative effect on them. It is, I think, easier for them to say nothing, because then they can't be scrutinized for whatever they say. They may be scrutinized for what they didn't, but if they say something that's dumb, that's out there. There's no retracting that. There's none of that. But if they say nothing, people can only speculate. That's the thing, right? There's no confirmation. People can really only speculate. Which
The
is why
unfortunate thing is speculation can go quite far these days, and a lot of people, there's a lot more crowds on the internet that take speculation and then it just manifests itself as a fact.
And I think that's true, which is why in terms of what was it, Rape Day and Active Shooter, that is when Valve did make statements, because those had gotten the attention of like a lot more notable publications, and I don't know if it ever made it to like the CNN equivalent. It
It
might
was
have, it
covered on the
might not
Daily
have.
Mirror here in the UK, or the Daily
Yeah.
Mail, Daily Mail, something like that.
I think once it hits that point, if they feel that they need to make a statement, they will. But until it reaches that point, because at this point only, YouTubers and maybe a game publication or two may talk about what happened with, what was it, horses. But that'll be it, right? It might be 100,000 people that talk, but maybe 200,000 people, um, and that'll be for a short time, and then everyone kind of forgets to move on.
The problem with those examples of active shooter and rape day is that those headlines were going about not because the developer was creating a manufactured reasoning as to why the game was removed from Steam. They were existing because the games were controversial in nature in the first instance, and when Valve did remove the games, they instantly, quickly put up a statement and clarified why the game was removed, which I think was imperative with active shooter in particular, because Birdie could have very easily twisted that response of saying Valve are censoring games, they're taking games away from you.
And
But Valve
yeah,
put
they
a quick
damn well
statement
made sure.
up. Yeah, they made sure to cover their base and say, no, we didn't remove it because of its content. We removed it because the game was being uploaded by a developer we've previously banned for violating Steam rules.
Which which to the anti-censorship crowd, then it's no longer a thing for them to kind of champion and for them to martyr, because that's not the reason that they thought it was banned. Um, Same thing. However, Rape Day was different.
Rape Day was different. Yeah, the response to that was not the greatest. It wasn't as bulletproof.
Yeah, which is why I would not be shocked if, like, when Valve look at the responses to their response, if they don't think it went over all that well, they may just continue then to just be radio silent.
Mm. But Ratchet, me and SVD have spoke well. Do you have any thoughts about anything we've mentioned there?
Not really. No, I don't know why. I just, yeah.
Okay. Do we
It
have?
sounds like someone needs to. Sounds like someone needs to drink some coffee.
I've had my coffee, thank you.
Is there anything in particular about this subject that you want to discuss, SVD, before we move on to the last topic?
I think I think I've said enough about it in terms of the fact that Valve are going to continue to be radio silent unless they feel that they do need to put out a statement because it's, either because they feel the need to explain themselves or the need to address like more like bigger social media coverage of something.
Yeah, I want them to do better, is the thing, because I think that's the wrong approach, personally, because I think by the time... again, I'm trying to contextualise it in something like this story. It has hit gaming news. It hasn't, obviously, it's not mainstream news. It's hit PC Gamer, it's hit a couple of bigger publications in the gaming sphere. It's not like Active Shooter hitting like BBC News or local news, like newspapers are writing up about it. But in a case of a game being removed and the developers come out and said, giving like a very vague reason as to why the game isn't able to ship on Steam, which I see it as it's because they've been gaming analytics and they've been giving they've been artificially inflating figures, and Steam hasn't appreciated that. But I think if Valve just wait and let it simmer until it becomes big, that risks the developer having already controlled the narrative before Valve's even opened their mouth.
I think the other thing too, when I think about it, is because a lot of corporations, they'll have like dedicated like PR people for like their social media accounts. Valve, I don't think wants to really like get into that necessarily, because their whole focus is on their platform. And I don't think they want to be like dragged into like drama about something. And the best way to do that is to essentially be radio silent. If you essentially give at least no external excuse for drama, no drama will come with that. The only drama that we've seen come from Valve in terms of is something along the lines of games being denied and people assuming that it's due to censorship. That's really been the thing with that. Plus, beforehand, Valve has kind of understood that they need to. It is better off for them to not always mention or comment every time someone gets banned, especially with like how semi-often it happens when they just purge games. And they've probably noticed that not a ton of people really cover that. And there's not a ton of interest when games get banned.
It has to be quite a large scale ban. Like I remember,
and it has to be for something notable. If Valve banned Battlefield 6, that is something that would absolutely get coverage in, I would even say, to the mainstream media kind of stuff. Depending on, especially because everyone would love to know what reason is it that they would ban Battlefield 6 or something like that. Again, not they haven't. In case anyone listening kind of assume that they did, they didn't. Just as an example, like that is something in which Valve would need to comment on because there would be so much attention and whatnot around that. But like a developer that has like maybe a few thousand sales, 50K doesn't matter. It's still it's too small, I think, for Valve to feel the need to address it. It is erring on caution. Valve, I think, have learned throughout the years from all the drama that they've had with batshit insane developers that it is better to stay as quiet as possible, issue a statement if you really do feel there's a need, but then go back to radio silence. It's simple that way. And think about it. They don't waste their time with PR people, with having a PR person more than if they have any PR people more than they already do.
Even then, it to me, Because when I think back to the statements they would issue when there was review manipulation happening, they were very copy-paste. They would just change the name of the developer and then bam. Right, this developer's been banned for review manipulation. Done. To me, that saves time when it comes to when the press do come knocking, and you have to give a more bespoke statement. Like when Doug Lombardi had to give that statement out to press, I think it was TechRaptor that got the first exclusive on it when Steam gave them the reason as to why Digital Homicide got removed from Steam for being hostile at Steam customers. That's quite a bold statement to make, particularly coming from Valve to talk about a two-person game company. Is there anything else that we want to talk about in terms of Brown Dust 2 before we move on to our last topic?
I'm good.
You good, Batchet?
Yep.
Okay, SVD, I'm happy to hand over to you about this when we talk about 05 games, and funny enough, we've already been talking a little bit about this review manipulation.
About a few weeks ago, someone had linked us a profile that they felt was engaging in suspicious review manipulation, something along the lines of the Obzor stuff. I took a look and I agreed, and I decided to just start going through random games that person had reviewed. And there was one that kind of caught my eye because it was one that the curator for the Games at Risk of Removal curator had initially flagged as going to be removed and then said removal was canceled. And I noticed that there was an announcement saying that it would not be removed because someone else had essentially bought the rights to the game, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I looked at the reviews and saw that there was essentially a lot of similar to the Obzor stuff, and more importantly, so this is the game that I'm talking about is called Chernobyl Trap. So it was, I guess, recently acquired from the original developer by the publisher/developer 05 Games. And when you take a look at the reviewers, just how they're kind of displayed below, you'll notice something that's a bit odd with them, which is there's the games that they own to reviews that they've posted. There's a high ratio to that, which is very, very odd. It's not, in and of itself, it's not, but there being that many people on a game that's not notable is very suspicious. And not only that, they all post reviews around the same time as well. If not, some of them having very similar hours played. And so, and the other thing I noticed was that, especially when you notice the review chart on Steam for the game, there's at the launch of the game, there's the spike of reviews, and then there's a little bit of reviews here and there, kind of dotted throughout. But I mean, it's like one here and there, and it goes nothing for a quite long time. Then, literally 2 days after the game was acquired from the original developer, there's just tons of review activity. And there's no justification for this because, at least as far as I know, I didn't notice any marketing for this game. But more importantly, there's no update for this game that would have justified this. The last update to the game was from 2022. If there had been an update to the game files around the time that has the spike of reviews, that might give a better explanation as to why there was a surge of reviews, but there isn't. It's not a game that came out of early access that had a spike or anything like that. There's literally no reason for there to be this huge surge of reviews 2 days after it was acquired by this developer slash publisher. And the other thing on top of that is a lot of these reviewers have reviewed the same games from that publisher, 05 Games. And one of them, and I'm sure it's not the only one, I think there's quite a few of the reviewers are some of the same reviewers that I have found with Obzor. With one of them commenting on a MyPed thread, and I was able to track his profile that was listed on his MyPed profile to his Steam profile. He on the MyPed thread essentially gave the Observer services a positive review in terms of how easy the process was and the payment. How he got paid and whatnot for doing the Observer reviews. And one of his reviews is also listed on here, as well as several of the other 05 games. Other publishers that seem to be using the Observer people would be Whale Rock Games as well. But yeah, that's essentially what I have, and all I can say is that if I were a developer, I'd be pretty pissed off that these people this thing continues to happen without it feeling like Valve is either doing anything or is setting up any kind of process or way for people to like explicitly report a game that has this stuff happen. There's a report button, but last I checked, they didn't have a report game for
Review manipulation.
Yeah, which would be nice if they had that.
Yeah, because obviously when we came out with the Obzor Discovery, this was just under 2 years ago now.
And it was last year, wasn't it?
It was last year, yeah. It was April 24, I think it was.
Yep.
Quite early on into 2024.
Yeah, it was like April 15th or something like that.
Yeah, and we have had some conversations behind the scenes with Valve that there has been some reassuring movement recently about trying to get a focus down on these operations, and also the problem that I think we're facing at the moment is they need direct proof, and I think because we haven't got access to how the back end works specifically for the developers, because the amount of widespread declinings that we got when we came out with our first post covering Obzor, pretty much it was universal. Well, you wouldn't admit to it anyway, because, it's against Steam Terms of Service and it can get games removed. But all the developers were just pleading ignorance of the whole affair. But Steam need a verifiable way to actually showcase that this is happening on their platform. And I think with instances like this, with Chernobyl Chat, that is more prevalent. That's a bit more obvious. Because, like you said, there's been no updates pushed to justify a massive review spike. The app changed hands from a different developer. It's now under this conglomerate, which I suspect, looking at the intake, is either, and this is just me purely speculating, this is not, I'm not trying to pass this off as fact at all, it's either Atomic Fabric under a new account, or it is one of the companies that has reacquired some of his titles after he got booted off of Steam, because there's definitely at least a few of those titles that I know were made by Atomic Fabric, because I bought the games and I went into the Notepad data files that come with Unity, and it had Atomic Fabric's Unity account name on those games, and that's now under 05 Games ownership. But yeah, it's something that we'll definitely be focusing more on next year in terms of trying to get a bit more of a handle on the Obzor problem and trying to offer support where we can to Valve in that. I'm optimistic. I know that they obviously do see it as a problem. I think it's more they are trying to weigh up what an appropriate response or how they kind of tackle that. What kind of constitutes as enough proof that the game is doing this? How obvious does it need to be? Because obviously with it, I get it to a degree, because there's a lot of it happening. Well, pretty much all of it's happening off platform. So you're not exactly going to see instances like with the game that we just talked about with Brown Dust 2, where everything's playing out in the public and they are outright saying, "Hey, wishlist this game and you can get a gift card." It's not as obvious and cut and dry as that. It's very much kind of, well, it is basically an undercover source, basically. Ratchet, how do you feel about this as a developer, that these problems are still persisting for what's been, well, it's been going on for longer, but we've been aware it's been happening for the last 2 years?
To be a mild pain in the ass, can you TLDR what the issue is? Sorry, I've been...
The The Observer reviewing is still a thing, and SVD has talked about 05 games, and they acquired this game called Chernobyl Trap, and shortly after this company acquired this game from this one indie developer, a mass flood of positive reviews came in, and SVD was able to trace them back to the fake Observer reviewing, basically.
Okay, yeah, right. My initial gut feel, just based on what you just said, is I hate it. Especially as somebody with games on Steam that some of them have like 5 reviews.
Yeah, and get this. This asset flip title has 97 reviews.
Yeah,
most of them positive.
If you don't market your game, that's 4 reviews and 1 that doesn't count because it's a free copy. My thought process is like I hate it. I don't like it. I think stuff like this needs to be disbanded. I think it's something that Valve is constantly fighting. I think it's something that no matter what you do, they will find another way around it. It's this shit game of like 3D chess
and whack-a-mole.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. When they pop up, you squish them, and then they pop up elsewhere, and it's like literally not even a winning game. It's literally just this back and forth. And I wouldn't be surprised with Valve's use of AI, like we were talking about. It wouldn't surprise me if Valve lent heavily into it to do profile checking.
Which the one thing I noticed that they could probably add to their an algorithm to do checking for the reviews for a game is looking at the amount of games owned versus games reviewed. Because the one thing that's very noticeable about these people is there's a high number. There's a high ratio between the two, where you have one of them that they might own 200 games, but they've reviewed 150, right? Or they own 1,000 games but have reviewed 1,800 of them, and that in and of itself is nothing to really, is nothing notable. But when you have a lot of these people all reviewing the same game, and they're essentially, and they all review that in the same time period, to have like that amount of profiles that have that kind of ratio of games to games reviewed in a period of time, that's suspicious as hell.
I think the risk that there is of automating that system, I think it's not really something that can be automated, because we know that these people...
Not to just automatically flag it, but internally flag it for further...
Yeah, for sure. Maybe that's something that could work. But yeah, the problem that I've even observed as well when I've been trying to go through some of these profiles is they do throw in some intentional red herrings. And the Obzor website lead advised people to do this on MyPed, because they said it's best that you don't just exclusively review games that you get on Obzor. Do an occasional, actual, genuine review, whether it's negative or positive, whatever. Because, I think they might have even said it throws people off the scent.
Which I've noticed that some of them will give negative reviews to even the games that are paying for reviews. That being said, not everyone will do a negative review, but a few people will do a negative review. I did find one profile that did actually, for a second I thought it was genuine, but only because they managed to really space out the Obzor games between like legitimate games like Stardew Valley, which is the smart way to go. If you're attempting to do review manipulation, that's how you want to do these profiles. But yeah. I think in their case, because they've never essentially really been caught, they're just going to continue doing this till the world stops turning.
And that's something I wanted to kind of pick up on, because again, I'm conscious we're short on time now. But SVD, I was wanting to pose one question to you about this as a whole, because there used to be methods and I think you will know this because I think you even wrote a guide once upon a time on the group about this, how to spot fake reviews. It's evolved so much now, particularly with sites like Obso, and the methods that they use are so complicated, and a lot of it happens off platform. It's not easy for people to verify when this takes place. What kind of things can people be looking out for, besides obviously what you mentioned earlier about a review to games owned ratio, which obviously even then isn't a massive, it isn't like a definitive they are faking reviews, but what other things can they maybe look out for in the future if people are maybe concerned about believing some what appear to be quite genuine reviews?
The easiest thing is when you start looking at these profiles and you pick a few of these profiles that have essentially done reviews in the same amount of time, and you look at their review history. And if they're reviewing the same games in more or less chronologically the same order, that's a huge red flag. There's no reason that someone should be reviewing the same games in the same order as someone else. Especially, and then on top of that, it's not just any games, it's like these obscure indie titles that may not even have 100 reviews, and at most might have a few hundred. And to review the same games in the same order in the same period of time, that like those three dots being those three things being checked off is a major indication of that, because Steam should be a very random. It's a very it theoretically should be a very random place to have reviews where not only do you have a review in English, but you have it in another language. You've got some people that go, well, this game was good, but I don't feel like writing a full review, so here's a recipe for ice cream. You've got meme reviews, and when you take a look at any AAA games like review like pile in terms of like the reviews underneath the store page, it's a lot of it's varied. Some of them are long, some of them are short, some of them are one word. That's variety. That is, there's a genuine sense of that. We all make fun of Steam reviews. They're useless, but in reality, they're actually quite useful. Yeah, there's meme ones, but there's not a ton of them. So if a game essentially is lacking that, and it has a ton of these reviews and whatnot, as well as the previous things I mentioned, that's a major indication.
What I'll also do, because I'm conscious, we've obviously been talking about Obsorb but not given too much of a background for it, but because we're running out of time, I'm not going to go into that, but I will leave a link in the description in our little link section to things that we reference in the podcast. I'll leave a link to the article that we wrote back in April 2024, which basically detailed how we basically infiltrated a fake review website that was offering fake Steam reviews, and we're able to identify through this website and through an impersonation account that we set up some select games that were manipulating their reviews, and then that might give listeners a bit of a TLDR, well, not a TLDR, but like a little bit of a brief on what kind of fake reviews specifically that we're mentioning here. Ratchet SVD, do you guys have anything you want to throw on top in terms of anything that we've spoke about today before we close out? Ratchet?
I like trains. No. I'm going to turn into that British dude who has a camera pointed down at his face.
You're going to what?
Turn into that British guy that's got the guy who watches the trains.
Oh, yes.
He's got the camera.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah. I can't either, but yeah. He's got that really massive zoomed in camera on his own face. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Ratchet SVD, for joining me as usual. That is the final podcast episode of 2025. We will be back in 2026 with some brand new topics, brand new stories, and maybe even potentially bringing in some guests. Who knows? Might be something cool to do in the new year. But But conversation now goes off to you. What are your thoughts about anything that we've discussed today? What are your thoughts about AI empowerment to developers? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What are your thoughts about the Brown Dust 2 controversy? Do you buy the story that it was removed for NSFW content, or do you think it was banned for gaming wishlist algorithms unfairly in an unfair way? And what do you also think about the about review manipulation on Steam? How often do you come across it? Do you see it as a major problem? Do you think Valve are doing enough to clamp down on it? Please let us know all your thoughts about all these topics down in the comments down below, and you never know, you might get highlighted for a comment comeback if you do. Special thank you goes out to our patrons: Calf, Stefan, Old Navy, Twidget, Luke, Nin, Emigrant, and Pocket. Thank you all so much for your continued support. It's thanks to you that we're able to keep doing what we're doing. If you want to become a patron today, our Patreon link is down below in the description, as well as a link tree to all of our social medias, and a link to SVD's Blue Skies separate down below, as well as a link to our Discord server. Come in and join the conversation, get engaged with us. Feel free to join our Sentinels at the Store group, and also follow our curator. And something that I keep forgetting to say at the end of every single episode: if you want to see more of these episodes, please do subscribe to this channel here, and also give it a like, give it a share if you are wanting more people to be blessed by have their ears blessed with our fantastic voices and fantastic takes that are totally well informed and never inaccurate. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for the support that you've showcased this podcast as we've launched this year in 2025. Hopefully we will see you next year in 2026 for more. But until then, thank you very much. Have a very Merry Christmas. Have a very Happy New Year. Take care, stay safe, and thanks very much.
I like trains.